What's up guys? On this week's video I'm going to be stripping and repainting the Honda logos for the tank, and I'm also going to try my technique of heating up the exhaust and see if I can't bend it down just a little bit. That's the main two things, and we'll see what else we get to. So for the emblems on the tank, as you can see, they're just a little bit kind of chipped off and not in the best shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray them with the same aircraft paint remover I used for the tank. It needs to sit about 30 minutes or so. Then I'm going to use a little brush to brush all that paint off, get it nice and clean, and then I'm going to attempt to use this model paint. You know, it's like if you've ever, painted models when you were a kid or whatever, still do it. It's very common model paint. So I will kind of test it out and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then we'll go on the search for a different kind of paint. But I'm pretty confident it'll work. So I'm going to go ahead and get to stripping these down, and then I'll bring you back when they're all nice and clean and ready for paint. It is pretty crazy. I just sprayed this on here, literally 20 seconds or so ago. And you can already see the factory paint starting to bubble up on it. So this shouldn't take more than maybe 10. I'll probably give it 15 or so minutes to totally peel up all that paint. This has been sitting for about 15 minutes. So I threw on some gloves, and I'm just going to use a little brush to see if we can't, oh yeah, just get all this factory paint off of here. And this isn't a real strong, it's not a wire brush, it's just little plastic bristles, because I don't need to scrape it off. I'm just trying to, basically get all the loose paint. Looks like you got about 90% of it. There's a couple little spots that didn't quite come off. So I'm just going to hit it with another coat and let it sit for another 5 or 10 minutes. See if we can't get the rest of it off. Have them totally stripped down now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit them with some paint. I think I'm going to do the black first, which of course is the outline. And then we'll come back and hit it with the white, and then if we have to maybe wipe across the top to make sure that the outline of the letters is still nice and shiny, we can do that. But I'm just going to use a small brush and just kind of go in there, take my time, and paint them up. It's the next day. I let these dry overnight, but I think they turned out really nice. So I gave it 2 coats of the white, and I really am happy with the way it turned out. I may or may not do a 3rd coat, maybe on some of the letters, so you can kind of see through them a little bit. But overall, yeah, really happy with how it turned out. So what I'm going to work on today is the exhaust. So I was able to heat up the bends up here and get just enough clearance. You can see I got about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit more of clearance underneath. And I got clearance right around the frame and stuff. It's not much, but I think it's going to be enough. So what I'm going to do is, with how that exhaust is laid out right now, I have, if you guys remember from my original videos, this muffler here. And I can't just stick it on where it is now because there's not enough room. So what I'm going to try to do is something I've never done before. And I got some straight pipe, and I'm going to cut a couple of pie cuts out of it. If you're not familiar with what a pie cut is, it'll make more sense after I do it. But like I said, it's something I've never done before, so I'm going to cut a couple of pie cuts in there, and I'm going to try to weld on maybe a 30 to 45 degree angle onto that pipe. and then that'll give me a nice place to connect the muffler that won't be directly under the bike, and I'll kind of aim it a little bit farther back as opposed to at an angle kind of out of the side. So that's the plan. I also got a little adapter from, this is 2 1/4, which is the size of the pipe that is on the bike now, and that is about 2 1/2. So I may use the adapter to go up. I don't know, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna actually attach the muffler itself, but I'm gonna cut a couple of pie cuts and then bring you guys back so you can kind of get an idea of exactly what it is I'm talking about. Okay, hopefully you guys will be able to kind of see what I'm doing here. So I have this adapter that is the same OD as the stock pipe on this side and the same OD as the muffler on this side. So what I did is I cut a little pie cut. You can kind of see right there. And basically the point of this is to change the angle and then also get it out further. So I may end up chopping a little bit off of this if it sticks out a little farther than I want. But to give you guys kind of an idea, basically I'm going to TIG weld around that. Then I'll grind the paint off of this and TIG weld around that. So this will all be solid about right there. And then the muffler will go right about there. So it changes the angle, and it also gets, like I said, it pushed out a little bit farther. So that's what I'm looking at. I think I got it all figured out. So what I'm going to do now is tack this piece together. Then I'm going to go ahead, and I already put Sharpie marks on here and on the pie cut, so I can make sure I put it back in that same spot when I weld it. Since I am going to take the header off of the bike, obviously, to weld it, I don't want it to be, I guess, cockeyed a little bit. So now that I marked that, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull off the header, grind most of this paint off, then make sure I transfer my marks onto fresh metal, then make sure all the paint's, taken off, because I obviously don't want to grind off my marks. That defeats the purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that header off now. Then we will move everything over to the bench and get ready to start welding. Doesn't look like much now, but I got it all tacked into place with a little pie cut there in the middle. And I just test fit it on the bike, and it's going to work out great. So what I'm going to do now is give that a good wire brush cleaning. Then I'm going to fire up the TIG and finish up welding all of that. Then we'll work on getting the muffler attached kind of after all this stuff is finalized. But so far so good. Alright, all the welding on my connection is done. So that's all good to go. One thing I did forget to grab was some high temp black paint. So I am going to need to pick up some of that tomorrow. Now we're ready to, I guess we're ready to put the muffler on. So I would like to figure out a way to clamp the muffler on if possible, just in case I want to take it off or something. I may end up welding it on, but I'm going to attempt to figure out a way to clamp it on first. For one, I can double check the fitment, and two, it'd be kind of nice for it to clamp on so that if I or the next owner wanted to take it off, swap it out with something else, whatever, they'd have that option. It wouldn't be permanently welded on. So that's how it's going so far, and I'll bring you guys back when there is another update. Alright, I think I got the final solution all put together here. So I have that part that we welded on that comes out. What I did is I cut 2 little slits in each side so I could expand it out just enough in order to slide in the muffler. And then I have the exhaust clamp that came with the muffler itself over that, so I'll be able to paint this now. I got see this Rust-Oleum high heat, it says resistant to oil and 2000 degrees and stuff, so it should be just fine for what we're doing here. So I'm going to paint this, then I'm going to be able to slip this muffler into it, put this clamp on, tighten it down. It should be good to go. So I test fit it on the bike already and everything fits really well. So yeah, going to be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and hit it with a coat or two of the high temp paint, and then we'll put the assembly together and then we'll throw it on the bike. Alright guys, here's a glimpse of pretty much how it's going to look when it's done. I mean, it's getting really, really close. So I went ahead and threw the tank back on. I still have to figure out what kind of sealer I'm going to use on the inside and order that, but that's not a big deal. Logos are done, or should I say emblems are done for the tank. Haven't thrown those on yet, but you can see the exhaust is now done. So got a nice clearance, it's black all the way to the back, and then has the you know, brushed whatever stainless muffler. So it's looking really good. Let me know what you guys think. The taller bars are definitely growing on me. For a while there, I was convinced I was just going to end up putting the clip-ons on it. But I really like the kind of more upright, like almost like a modern kind of safari looking. I don't know if you guys have seen like the latest Jurassic Park movie, but there's a Triumph in there, and I feel like this gives me the same kind of vibes as that bike does, with the brown seat and the kind of upright seating position and stuff. So let me know what you guys think. That's going to be pretty much it for this video. Next video is going to be finishing up the tank, and then we're going to fire this thing up and make sure the tune and everything's in place, and then hell, we're pretty darn close to a first ride. I'm pretty excited. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.